I'm Heyzeus, and this video is about how a bunch of CSGO cases have had broken odds all these years that nobody seems to have noticed. Sponsored by Skinport, the quick and easy to use skins marketplace where you can sell your skins for real cash, more about them later. Now, despite what I say sometimes, I do genuinely like Valve. I think they're quite a good games company, and definitely better than the other games companies out there, but there is one thing I don't really like about how they run CSGO, and it's to do with these things. Now, I don't really have a problem with loot boxes in general. In fact, I actually enjoy opening them quite a bit, but there is one thing I don't like about CSGO cases. You see, my problem is that cases aren't so much a yellow box as a black box. We don't know what goes on inside them when you open one. It's a literal mystery how Valve picks your skins. If you go onto any gambling website, for example, they will have some feature that's supposed to demonstrate the integrity of the website. Now, that does not mean the site isn't a scam, but at least they feel the need to make the effort. Valve, on the other hand, are stone silent about how cases work. In fact, they weren't even public about the odds of getting certain skins until the Chinese government forced them to publish it. And this has led to all kinds of conspiracy theories about how cases work. Now, I don't really believe any of these theories. I think what's going on under the surface is probably pretty boring. It's probably just a random scene picking the skins, but I can't rule the theories out either because I just don't know what's going on. And one thing we do know for certain is that mistakes can happen. Just ask the TF2 community when Valve accidentally set the odds to get hats to be 100%. And if mistakes can happen there, they can happen in CSGO too. The only question is, how do you spot them? As I said, cases are a black box, and figuring out what's going on beneath the surface can be kind of difficult, and while it's easy to jump to conclusions based on some good or bad luck you personally have, proving it is a lot harder. For example, I used to do this trade-up where you could get either a Neon Kimono, a Daybreak, or either of the Sunset Storms, and for years, I was convinced something was wrong with this trade-up. It seemed like I was getting too many Daybreaks and not enough Neon Kimonos. So, a few months ago, I decided to test my theory out. I spent hours going through thousands of old emails trying to get the outcome of every single trade-up. So I put it all together in one spreadsheet and crunched the numbers. And it turned out the results were within the margin of error, so I hadn't proven anything, but I had wasted my entire Saturday. And at that point, I kind of gave up on looking for stuff like this for a while. It didn't really seem like it was worth my time, so I decided to focus on other things. At which point, naturally, I stumbled across something else by accident. So, you probably know what a Doppler knife is. They're pretty amazing, aren't they, Anomaly?
Oh, nice! No, actually, please! Oh my god, turn on Doppler! Turn on Doppler!
Anomaly agrees. Now, famously, this knife comes in a bunch of different finishes, and that really sets it apart from other knives. And if you go to any guide on the internet, it will tell you that you have an 89% chance to get one of the 4 phases, a slightly less than 10% chance of getting a ruby or sapphire, and a 1% chance of getting a black pearl. But there's a bit of a problem with these odds, and that is that they're wrong. Completely wrong. Wrong in multiple ways, and wrong enough that knowing the real odds can actually make a pretty big difference. Now, these odds, the 89%, the 10%, and the 1%, originally came from a video McSkillet made, and I'll let him explain how he came up with them.
Alright, so these are some estimations I've made on how rare each one of the knives are based on results from the CSGO.exchange database. I believe the Sapphire and Black Pearl should be a slightly lower percentage, but it was pretty close to 10% and 1%, and it seems like the Black Pearls are almost always around 10 times rarer than the Sapphire and the Ruby.
Now, I know why McSkillet got this wrong, and it wasn't his fault. I'll explain exactly what happened later in the video, but the important thing at the moment is that these numbers stuck. People believed them, they looked kind of right, so they became the accepted values. Except of course, they weren't actually correct. When McSkillet made his video, the only place you could get Doppler knives from were the Chroma cases, which were first released in January 2015, and these cases had these 5 knives in them. Now, if we go to float.db, which is the most comprehensive database of CSGO skins in existence, we can get the true odds for these knives extremely easily. Using the numbers for the Crambit, for example, we can see the real odds for Sapphires and Rubies is actually pretty much 5%. Black pearls are about 0.6% and phases 1 to 4 are about 94%, so your odds of getting a ruby or sapphire are only about half as good as McSkillet's sold numbers, and it's not limited to the karambit either. The bayonet, for example, has pretty much identical odds, and so does the M9. The chance of getting a ruby or a sapphire or a black pearl just isn't as high as people thought it was. But this is only the start of the story, because chroma cases aren't the only type of case with Doppler knives. In 2017, Valve released the first Spectrum case, which added Doppler finishes to these knives, and in 2019 they released the Prisma case, which added Doppler finishes to these knives, and this is where things got a little messed up. You see, Doppler knives in the Spectrum case aren't as common as Doppler knives in the chroma case. There's 24,000 karambit Dopplers out there, but less than 8,000 butterfly knife Dopplers. But if we narrow that down to just rubies and sapphires, suddenly there's more butterfly knives than karambits, and if it looks like something is wrong here, that's because it is. In fact, these are the full numbers of butterfly knives. Nearly 20% of them are rubies and sapphires, and nearly 2% are black pearls. And this doesn't just affect the butterfly knife either, all the knives on the Spectrum case are affected. And it's the exact same thing for the Prisma case too. Like, these are the numbers for the Talon Doppler, they're exactly the same as the Spectrum case odds. So clearly, something changed when Valve made the Spectrum case, because now Doppler knives are 4 times more likely to be gems than they are in the chroma cases, and that is a massive difference. And if you're wondering why, it's actually because Valve broke something in the chroma case, and broke it pretty badly for that matter. You see, the original chroma case added 6 new finishes to CSGO. The Dopplers, the Marble Fade, the Damascus Steel, the Rust Coat, the Ultraviolet, and the Tiger Tooth. Now, there are 24,000 karambit Dopplers out there, but there's only slightly more than 7,000 Marble Fades, a bit less than 7,000 Tiger Tooths, a bit less than 7,000 Damascus Steels, a bit less than 7,000 Ultraviolets, and almost precisely 7,000 Rust Coats. Basically, Valve had accidentally made the Doppler finish way too common. People were unboxing it almost 3 times more often than they should have been. Now, Valve would fix this problem for the Spectrum case. If you look at the numbers on the butterfly knife, you can see that they're all basically equal, but the way Valve fixed it was by making phase 1 to 4 knives rarer. They didn't change the odds for rubies, sapphires, or black pearls, and that is why they ended up so much more common in the Spectrum and Prisma cases. So, what does all this mean? Well, first of all, it shows that mistakes can happen when Valve sets the odds for skins, and if they broke something here, there's every chance they broke the odds somewhere else as well. It's just going to be a matter of finding them. But also, if you're going to try and unbox a ruby or sapphire, make sure you use a Spectrum or Prisma cases, because your chances are going to be better. Not that I'm investing in them or anything, no way, no, that'd never happen, I'm a good boy. Now, before I go, I really want to thank the Float.db database. It's easily the best and most complete database we've ever had for CSGO skins, and it makes this kind of analysis possible. The reason McSkillet got his initial numbers wrong is that CSGO Exchange isn't a complete database. It actually has a big bias towards higher end skins, and that is why he ended up with inflated odds for rubies and sapphires, because they're overrepresented on the database, and that's why I'm so grateful we now have Float.db. But anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please like, comment, and subscribe, massively appreciated. And a big thank you to Skinport for sponsoring this channel. Skinport is a marketplace that allows you to sell your skins for real cash. Now, the great thing about this website is that you can buy skins here for much less than you have to pay on the Steam market. Just log in through Steam and you can buy items right away on your credit card without any need to deposit first. So if you're looking to get skins and get them cheap, this is the place to buy. If you're looking to sell instead, it's got a super competitive sales fee of just 5% if you put skinport.com in your username. That's less than half of what you pay on Steam. So this is a great marketplace. I've used it for years now. I love it. And you can find a link to it in the pinned comment. Anyway, that's it from me. As always, trust the numbers, not your gut. I'm Heyzeus. Thanks for watching. See ya.